John Stamos was America's perfect uncle. He had the hair, the smile, and the wholesome charm that made millions love him. But in 2025, he finally admitted the truth. He wanted it all to end. He took a role as a serial killer just to prove a point. He said playing someone evil actually made him love Uncle Jesse more. But there's a reason he needed to escape that image. A reason tied to a DUI, a divorce that broke him, and secrets from childhood he buried for decades. What he revealed changes everything you thought you knew about him. John Stamos was born on August 19, 1963, in Cypress, California. His mother, Loretta Phillips, had Irish and English roots and had worked as a swimsuit model. His father, William "Bill" Stamos, was a second-generation Greek-American who owned restaurants. The original family name was Stamatopoulos. Bill's father, Ioannis Stamos, had changed it after coming to America in the early 1900s. Ioannis had been born in 1904 in the mountain village of Kakori in Arcadia, Greece. When he was just one, his father Vasilios was murdered in the street in 1905 by a man named Ioannis Koliopoulos. Locals called him Judas. That act of violence shaped the family's history and was one of the reasons they left Greece. John grew up with two younger sisters, Janine and Alana. They became school teachers later, both working in California. The Stamos home was tight-knit, middle-class, and focused on discipline and hard work. Bill made sure of that. Even as John started dreaming of acting or music, his weekends were spent working in the family's burger joints, Duke's, Yellow Basket, and Burger Basket. These weren't glamorous places. He was flipping eggs and wiping down counters. One of the restaurants was in Gardena. The rest were spread around Orange County. He worked there through his teenage years. He always said that it taught him how to be on time, to memorize lines, to hit his marks, and stay professional. Because of my dad and the discipline he had toward his work, John said, I learned to be a pro. In 1976, something changed. John was about 12 or 13 when he saw the Beach Boys perform live for the first time. That concert stayed with him forever. It lit something inside him. At school, he was part of the John F. Kennedy High School marching band, playing tri-toms. By 15, he was already getting serious about both music and acting. He started taking lessons and auditioning for commercials. His love for Disneyland, magic tricks, and performing only grew stronger. He worked at the restaurants during the day and studied magic and acting on the side. That same year, he saw the Beach Boys, and that moment would circle back in a big way. When he was a junior in 1980, he traveled with his high school band to Ireland. They marched in Dublin's St. Patrick's Day Parade. That trip broke down all the social walls among the students. On the last day, he told his bandmate Ken Hada that he wanted to be an actor. He wasn't the popular kid, he wasn't athletic, but he knew what he wanted. Back home, he was part of local amateur rock bands and started playing prom gigs with school friends. He played drums, guitar, and piano. It wasn't just for fun. He was learning the stage. After high school, he planned to attend Cypress College. But in 1981, he auditioned for General Hospital. His dad agreed to let him delay college for one semester. That was all John needed. In January 1982, just 3 weeks later, he got the role of Blackie Parrish. He was 18. It was supposed to be a 5-episode part. He auditioned on a Monday, filmed his first scene on Wednesday, and the episode aired the next week. His mother, Loretta, believed in him so much she wrote letters to ABC executives. Viewers loved him. Producers saw the fan reaction and rewrote the script to keep him on. His 5 episodes turned into 2 years. By 1983, at 19 years old, he was nominated for a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor. He also won a Soapy Award and a Young Artist Award. That same year, the fan mail got so overwhelming that he had to hire security for events. Teenagers loved him. moms too. His character was a bad boy with a heart. He even shared scenes with Sammy Davis Jr., who famously said, "Blackie, you play drums, don't you?" John had concerns, though. He didn't want to be just another pretty face. He didn't want to get stuck in soap operas forever. He'd been playing drums since he was 4. He used those skills to make Blackie's music scenes real. He even formed a band called Destiny when he was 13. He sometimes improvised drum and guitar solos on the show. He wanted authenticity. During that time, he also dated co-stars Janine Turner and Demi Moore. He was growing up fast, on camera and off. He also had 2 nose jobs during his General Hospital run. He wanted to fine-tune his look for the screen. Nothing dramatic, just decisions to help his career. In early 1984, he decided it was time to leave. Blackie was written off. His character accidentally killed someone and went to prison. John had done 124 episodes. He was earning around $1,000 per episode. Now, he wanted to try prime time. Right after General Hospital, he got cast in CBS's Dreams, a drama about a rock band in Philadelphia. It only lasted 12 episodes, but it was a step forward. He also started recording original music. He even wrote some of the songs for the show. Later, in 1988, he played drums in the Beach Boys' hit video Kokomo. In 1992, he sang lead vocals on their single Forever. His relationship with the Beach Boys never ended. One of the most difficult chapters of his life came to light in October 2023. In his memoir, If You Would Have Told Me, he revealed that he had been sexually abused by a babysitter when he was around 10 or 11. He had buried the memory. It only came back when he was writing a speech for a children's charity. At first, he kept quiet. He didn't want to make it about himself, but he had been a child help ambassador for over 20 years, and eventually he knew it was time. "It took me writing a book," he said, "to face it fully." He explained the feeling of the moment as, like you're playing dead so they'll stop, though it hadn't been aggressive in the way some stories are. But it stayed with him. And sharing it brought a new level of honesty to his story. Even as his fame grew, his father made him work in the restaurants. By 1982, John was appearing regularly on TV, but still had to flip burgers on weekends. Customers would come in, shocked to see a soap star behind the counter. Eventually, John had enough. He told his father, "Dad, I'm on national television. This is embarrassing." Bill finally let him stop, but John never forgot those early days. He kept saying how that work ethic, getting up early, being professional, doing the hard things, was the reason he made it. John Stamos was only 21 when he took a bold turn. After leaving his soap opera fame behind on General Hospital, where he played Blackie Parrish, he stepped into something wildly different. In 1984, he appeared in the new original Wonder Woman, alongside Linda Carter. This wasn't just another gig, it was his first attempt at action television. He wasn't the hero, though. He played a villain's henchman. But even in fight scenes, he found a way to stand out, blending physical comedy into serious action. It was filmed in LA that summer, and working next to a TV legend like Carter gave him a taste of what it really meant to hold your own in a big production. That same year, CBS gave him his first starring role in Dreams. It was October 3, 1984, when the show premiered. Stamos played Gino Minelli, a Philly welder by day, rock guitarist by night. It was ahead of its time, broadcast in stereo sound, trying to ride the music video wave with MTV-style performances. Each episode had the band play original songs, with Stamos on drums or guitar. But it flopped hard. Ratings sank, and CBS killed it after just 5 episodes by Halloween. 7 more were filmed but never aired. One song from the show, Alone, didn't die though. It later became a chart-topping hit for Hart in 1987. A song buried in a failed sitcom suddenly exploded into history 3 years later. Then came a quieter win. In 1986, Stamos finally landed a steady role on NBC's You Again with Jack Klugman. They played an estranged father and son trying to reconnect. Behind the scenes, Klugman personally fought to get Stamos cast. On air, they clashed. Critics thought their chemistry was completely off, but they built a lifelong bond. The show had a curious twist. In one episode, Stamos's character tried out for the Beach Boys, but got rejected because he couldn't read music. Ironically, in real life, Stamos had already started playing with the actual Beach Boys in 1985, a year before that episode aired. While filming You Again, he also did guest roles on The Love Boat in 1986, playing a charming playboy doctor. It was strategic. After the disaster with Dreams, he had fired his agent and started managing himself. He needed to stay visible, and The Love Boat was one of the most watched shows in the country. The producers wrote his character specifically to tap into his soap opera doctor fame and good looks. It worked. Women loved him. Ratings held. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it kept his name alive until something bigger came along. In that same strange year, Stamos took a wild leap into film. He starred in Never Too Young to Die, an absurd action movie with Gene Simmons playing a hermaphroditic villain named Velvet Von Ragnar. Stamos was Lance Stargrove, a gymnast turned hero. His dad in the film was played by former James Bond actor George Lazenby. The movie was full of near accidents. Stamos did real motorcycle chases and gymnastics-based fight scenes. At one point, Simmons does a musical number in a biker bar filled with chainmail-wearing patrons riding motorcycles indoors. It bombed, but today it's a cult classic. And it proved Stamos could handle stunts, risks, and just about anything. Everything changed in 1987. Full House premiered on September 22nd, and Stamos was there from day one. His character was originally named Jesse Cochran, but he pushed for a change. He wanted the name to reflect his Greek heritage. So it became Jesse Katsopoulos. That single switch opened the door to a whole storyline about Greek family, customs, and wild traditions. He even played a dual role as Jesse's bizarre cousin Stavros. Jesse's real name turned out to be Hermes, named after a great-grandfather who allegedly outran lava during a volcano eruption. At first, the show didn't do well. It ranked 71st, but ABC moved it right behind Perfect Strangers during summer reruns, and suddenly, the ratings shot up. By season 3, it was in the top 30. By season 4, it was a juggernaut. Jesse became iconic. The Elvis hair, leather jackets, and "Have mercy" catchphrase turned him into a household name. The final episode aired in 1995 and pulled in more than 24 million viewers. What most people don't know is that Stamos almost quit right after the first table read. It wasn't season 3, it was the pilot. 7-year-old Jodie Sweetin crushed her lines as Stephanie, and the whole room erupted in laughter. Stamos felt invisible. He walked out, found a payphone, and called his agent. "Get me the FK off this show," he begged. He called it a yabba dabba don't time because the cast had just finished singing the Flintstones theme around a baby crib. But he stayed. And that summer, when reruns boosted the ratings, he realized the show might just work. As Full House hit its peak, Stamos doubled down on music. He had been performing with the Beach Boys since July 4, 1985, long before Jesse Katsopoulos picked up a guitar. He played with them live in Philly and DC, sometimes to crowds over 1 million. In 1988, he showed up in their Kokomo music video. Then he pushed producers to bring the band into Full House, and they did, multiple times. In 1992, he sang lead vocals for Forever, a song originally by Dennis Wilson, and that version became Jesse and Rebecca's wedding theme. It even charted in Australia in 1993, hitting number 100. For fans, it was unforgettable. The wedding episodes were a highlight of the series. Part 1 aired September 21, 1990. Jesse's Greek family flew in for Greek Week, and things spiraled. DJ accidentally married someone by walking around a table. Jesse realized he had technically married his ex at age 14. By the real wedding in February 1991, Jesse had gone skydiving, landed in a tomato truck, got arrested, and barely made it to the chapel. But the Beach Boys performed, and the moment became legendary. By then, each episode cost around $1.3 million to produce, double the average sitcom, just to keep up with the show's momentum. In 1995, something unexpected happened on Broadway. John Stamos, the guy everyone knew from TV, stepped into a role that most thought was far beyond his reach. He took over as J. Pierpont Finch in the hit revival of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, replacing Matthew Broderick at the Richard Rodgers Theater. People didn't believe he could do it. He was too TV, but he didn't flinch. He threw himself into it. 8 shows a week, tap dancing, vocal coaching, long rehearsals. He transformed himself from a sitcom heartthrob into a stage performer who could actually carry a musical, and not just survive, but shine. Variety praised his presence. The show pulled in over $500,000 every week during his time. Premium seats went for $67.50. Stamos often said it was Jack Klugman, his mentor, who pushed him. Klugman told him he was better than Full House. It was time to show the world. While Broadway proved his chops, music was always in his blood too, and that led him somewhere even more personal. In 1992, he recorded a version of Forever with the Beach Boys. That wasn't some casual celebrity crossover. The song meant something. Dennis Wilson wrote it in 1970, and Stamos had connected deeply with it, especially after performing it as Jesse on Full House during his character's wedding scene in 1991. Millions heard it there for the first time. But in real life, he wasn't pretending. He wasn't acting. He was behind the drums and on lead vocals, on tour with the actual band, performing live with the legends. His version of Forever was part of their Summer in Paradise album and even hit the Australian charts in 1993, reaching number 100. Decades later, he still sings it at Beach Boys shows. Now, he often dedicates it to Bob Saget and others he's lost, turning it into a quiet, heartfelt tribute every time he steps to the mic. Somewhere along the way, rumors started floating around about John being in Never Been Kissed. The problem? He wasn't. The film came out in 1999, not 1997. It starred Drew Barrymore as Josie, the undercover reporter. The teacher everyone swooned over was played by Michael Vartan, not Stamos. There was no cameo, no deleted scene, just confusion. That year, Stamos was actually in a TV movie called Sealed with a Kiss, playing a Boston financial consultant named Bennett. The mix-up probably came from the fact that during the late 90s, Stamos was doing a lot of rom-com type roles, floating around the same genre. But in this case, his name didn't appear anywhere in the credits or even the background. Still, people keep asking. Fast forward to 2005, and John Stamos tried something new again. Jake in Progress hit ABC as a show about a high-powered New York publicist who wanted to clean up his act. The original pitch was wild. It was supposed to take place in real time, like 24, but instead of explosions, it would be awkward dates and sharp dialogue. That idea got dropped quickly. What aired was a more traditional format, and in it, Stamos played Jake Phillips, the smooth-talking fixer with a past. The cast had Wendy Malick as his boss, Rick Hoffman as the offbeat artist, and Ian Gomez as the loyal best friend. It started out with decent momentum, pulling in 5.5 million viewers. Then ABC pulled the plug, changed their mind, brought it back, and killed it again after one final attempt in January 2006, when it was paired with Emily's Reasons Why Not. Ratings crashed. Both shows vanished after just one episode that week. ABC never even aired 7 of the 21 filmed episodes. Official cancellation came down on May 13, 2006. That was the end of Jake in Progress. That same year, something bigger began. ER was already a machine, deep into its 12th season, when John Stamos walked onto the set as Tony Gates. At first, he was just a paramedic. But then came the reveal. He was actually a medical student, learning the ropes by working in the field. His debut came in the episode The Human Shield, where his partner got shot during a chaotic rescue. The character was sharp, confident, and sometimes reckless. They called him a cowboy, someone who pushed boundaries. That energy clashed constantly with others, especially Gregory Pratt. In one episode called Two Ships, Gates charged into a burning building moments before it exploded. He barely made it out. Field surgery had to be done right there to save him. Over the next 4 seasons, he became more than just a wild card. He stepped up. When a woman he was close to died by overdose, he became guardian to her daughter Sarah. His messy relationships with Neela and Sam added layers. At one point, the ER staff had enough and kicked him upstairs to ICU. But eventually, he earned his place back. Across 4 seasons, from 2005 to 2009, he appeared in about 65 episodes, far more than some people remember. He stayed until the very end. John Stamos first saw Rebecca Romaine at a Victoria's Secret fashion show and was immediately drawn to her. They got married on September 19, 1998, and for a while, everything seemed perfect. But while her career soared, especially after landing the role of Mystique in X-Men, his stalled, and something inside him started to break. He began feeling like he wasn't enough. In his 2023 memoir, he admitted he felt emasculated. After their 2005 divorce, he was shattered, and even described her as the devil in interviews. He hated her, truly hated her. Only much later did he realize that the hate was coming from his own pain. He finally said, maybe she wasn't the devil. Maybe he was just as much to blame. Just 9 years later, on September 22, 2014, everything got worse. His mother, Loretta Stamos, the woman he once called the love of his life, died from cancer. Her death broke him in a way nothing else had. He turned to alcohol, but it didn't stop there. He started mixing it with Ambien. The pills helped him sleep, but they also erased pieces of his memory. He couldn't remember lines. He forgot names. While filming Fuller House in 2016, he was blacking out, but no one knew. He kept showing up, somehow still functioning. Later, he said Ambien was the hardest thing to quit, harder than alcohol. When he finally stopped, he couldn't sleep for weeks. But he had to stop. There was no other choice. Then came the night of June 12, 2015. He was driving through Beverly Hills. Witnesses saw him swerving, looking off. Police stopped him, thinking he had a medical issue. They rushed him to Cedars-Sinai. Tests later showed he was under the influence of drugs, reportedly Vicodin and marijuana. He didn't fight the charge. On November 24, 2015, he pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 3 years probation, an alcohol program, 52 AA meetings, and drug counseling. He later said he could have killed someone that night. He called it horrific, stupid, ignorant. After the divorce, things got darker. Rebecca remarried in 2007. By 2008, she had twins. He stayed alone. He watched from a distance as she moved on, and it made him spiral. He admitted he obsessed over her for years, that hate still boiling inside. In 2023, he wrote again in his memoir about her, calling her the devil once more. Jerry O'Connell, her husband, had to explain to their teenage daughters why their mom's ex-husband was saying these things. The twins asked her directly at breakfast. It was all getting too personal, too public, too much. During this downward phase, another old wound reopened. In the middle of shooting Fuller House in 2016, he briefly reconnected with Terry Copley, a woman he dated in the 80s. But then came the shock. He accused her of cheating with Tony Danza. In his book, he described walking into a room and seeing them in bed together. It wrecked him, but she denied the whole thing. She said they'd already broken up, said none of it happened. She even made a YouTube video explaining it. But for him, it didn't matter. He believed it happened, and that belief pushed him even further into his addictions. The real bottom came after his 2015 DUI. That same night, after being released from the hospital, he went home and drank a full bottle of wine just to forget. The rehab came in July, 30 days. But even during the filming of My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 in Canada, he was still drinking. He said he stayed loosely buzzed just to function. But therapy started to help. So did his work with child help. And then he started talking, really talking, about something he'd never said before. When he was around 10 or 11, a babysitter abused him. He had kept it hidden for decades. Therapy helped him open it up and let it out. Then came the shift. On February 26, 2016, Fuller House premiered. He wasn't just Uncle Jesse anymore. He was also the executive producer. The show ran for 5 seasons, ending in 2020. It gave him a sense of control he hadn't felt in years. The Netflix revival brought his drumming, his music, his roots, and a cast that looked up to him. It was healing, but healing came from another place too. In 2011, on Law & Order, SVU, he played a man who tampered with condoms to secretly get women pregnant. Caitlin McHugh played a woman in that same episode. Years later, they started texting, then dating. They married in February 2018. 2 months later, at 8:32 p.m. on April 10th, their son Billy was born. That boy changed everything. Quitting Ambien was hell. He told Howard Stern that withdrawal was brutal, worse than alcohol. He couldn't sleep, couldn't think, couldn't feel normal. He said it felt like scenes he acted in, ones where his character was traumatized. But now, it was real. He went through it anyway. And when it was done, he stopped all medications, even antidepressants. He said he finally felt stable. In 2021, he took on a role that felt personal. On Disney Plus, he played Coach Marvin Korn, a temperamental basketball coach in Big Shot. The show ran for 2 seasons before being canceled in 2023. But it gave him a way to blend his new life as a father with his career. He poured his own emotions into the role, especially the vulnerability he felt being a dad to Billy. In his 2023 memoir, he revealed more regrets. He'd once turned down the lead role in Nip Tuck because Rebecca thought the script was demeaning. The show became a huge success. He missed out. He also recounted the Terry Copley story in painful detail, finding her in bed with Danza while Elton John was playing in the background. He ran down her driveway in tears. It hurt more than a punch. He even joked later that the song playing was "Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza." In 2023, he also took a bold step. He joined Season 4 of Netflix's You, playing a manipulative character far from his usual Uncle Jesse charm. He wanted to leave the squeaky clean image behind. Sobriety had given him clarity. and now he wanted darker, more complex roles. His therapist, Phil Stutz, helped him get there. He said if it weren't for him, he might not even be alive. In 2025, he got his Breaking Bad moment. He told US Weekly he wanted to play something real. So he starred in Drag, a horror film produced by Danny DeVito, where he played a serial killer. He called it the darkest role he's ever done. But doing that kind of role helped him love Uncle Jesse more. He said the more he took roles unlike the sitcom, the more he appreciated what Full House meant. He also joined Season 2 of Palm Royale, an Apple TV Plus show starring Kristen Wiig and Laura Dern. His character, Dr. Dusty Magic, was a shady lawyer gynecologist. He filmed scenes in all-white outfits with embroidered pants. The show was set to premiere on November 12, 2025, and he called it an honor to work with legends like Carol Burnett and Allison Janney. And at home, something sweet happened. At a charity event on September 30, 2025, he told the crowd that his son Billy had started using his dad's fame to charm girls at school. One girl wrote that her favorite show was Fuller House, and Billy casually said, "That's my dad. He's Uncle Jesse." Stamos laughed, saying Billy mostly watches just to make fun of him, often quoting Michelle Tanner's, "You got it, dude." Beyond fatherhood, he's stayed loyal to child help for over 30 years, hosting events, raising money, and even winning $125,000 on Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for the cause. His mom always told him to stay grounded, and that's what he's tried to do ever since.